She didn't believe in soulmates. And when people talked about true love, she would quietly smile. Love, she believed, was an illusion. A beautiful lie sold by movies and paid for with heartbreak. This is the story of a Russian woman who had every reason to stop believing, and the Vietnamese man who proved her wrong without ever trying to. What happened between them wasn't planned, it wasn't logical, and it wasn't supposed to last. But it did. Alina grew up in Moscow surrounded by ambition, cold winters, sharp conversations. Relationships that ended the moment feelings became inconvenient. She had loved before, or at least she thought she had. Each time it ended the same way. Promises broken, loyalty tested, affection traded for comfort and status. By 32, she had made a quiet decision. True love doesn't exist. Not in the real world. She built a life around that belief. A good job, independence, emotional distance. Safe, predictable, empty. One night, after another dinner where friends bragged about relationships that looked perfect on the surface, Alina went home and booked a ticket. Not for love, not for escape, just silence. Vietnam. She chose it randomly. Warm weather, rich history, far from everything she knew. She didn't even tell anyone she was going. When she arrived in Da Nang, the air felt different. Not just warm, alive. People smiled without expecting anything. Strangers helped without suspicion. It confused her. A few days later, she travelled to Hoi An, a town that looked like it belonged to another century. Lanterns, rivers, time moving slowly, as if it had nowhere urgent to be. That's where she met Minh. Not at a bar, not online, not through friends. She met him when her bicycle chain snapped on a quiet street just before sunset. She stood there, frustrated, hands dirty, already preparing to walk back, when a calm voice behind her said, "Wait, I can fix it." Minh was a carpenter by trade. Boat repairs, furniture, anything made of wood. His hands were rough, his clothes simple, his eyes steady. He didn't flirt, didn't ask questions. He just knelt down and helped. When he finished, he stood up, wiped his hands, and smiled. "No charge," he said. "The road helps us sometimes. Today, I help you." Something about that stayed with her. They started seeing each other by accident. A coffee the next day, a walk by the river, long silences that didn't feel awkward. Minh didn't talk about money or success. He talked about responsibility, family, patience. He told her how his father taught him one rule. If you care for something, you show it. Not once, but every day. Alina listened, quietly. She told him she didn't believe in love. Minh didn't argue. He just said, "Then maybe you haven't seen the right version of it yet." That night, they released paper lanterns into the river, a local tradition. Each lantern carried a wish. Alina wrote nothing. She didn't believe in wishes either. Weeks passed. Minh showed her Vietnam the way locals see it. Not tourist places, but early mornings at markets, late evenings repairing boats, meals shared with neighbours. No pressure, no expectations. And that scared her more than any intense relationship ever had. Because he was consistent. When she was quiet, he stayed. When she was distant, he waited. When she questioned everything, he didn't leave. One evening, sitting by the river, Alina finally asked him, "Why are you so patient with me?" Minh looked at the water and said, "Because love is not something you convince people into. It's something you allow them to discover." That was the moment something cracked inside her. Then reality returned. Her visa was ending. Her job in Moscow was calling. At the airport, she expected drama, tears, promises, pressure. Minh gave her none of that. Instead, he handed her a small wooden bracelet he had made himself. "Not a promise," he said. "Just proof that some things are built slowly." On the plane, Alina cried for the first time in years. Not from loss, but from fear. Fear that she had felt something real and walked away from it. Back in Moscow, life resumed, but she didn't. She missed the simplicity, the honesty, the way Minh never tried to impress her. They talked every day, sometimes for minutes, sometimes just a smile on video before sleep. Months passed. One snowy evening, Minh sent her a photo, a passport, a single message. "I want to see your world too." When he arrived in Moscow, wearing a borrowed coat and smiling through the cold, Alina understood something clearly for the first time. Love wasn't supposed to feel dramatic. It was supposed to feel safe. Her parents were unsure, her friends skeptical. But Minh never changed. He helped. He listened. He respected. Before returning to Vietnam, Minh stood with her under falling snow and said, "You once said love doesn't exist. Do you still think that?" Alina shook her head. "No," she said softly. "I just didn't know what it looked like." A year later, she moved to Vietnam, not because she gave up her life, but because she found one worth choosing. They built something simple, real, unperfect. And one evening, by the same river where it all began, Minh placed a ring inside a lantern. "This time," he said, "it's a promise." Alina smiled through tears. The lantern floated away, glowing, steady, unafraid of the dark. She once believed true love was a lie, until a Vietnamese man showed her that love doesn't arrive loudly. It arrives consistently and stays.